Back, the president-elect is an early riser. He's already on Twitter this morning criticizing plans for a recount in Wisconsin. There might also be recounts in a couple of other states, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Sore losers is what President-elect Trump's campaign manager calls those now supporting that recount in Wisconsin. There are deadlines looming, as I noted, Pennsylvania and Michigan in this week ahead. And yes, there might be some extra holiday drama as we prepare for the Trump administration. More on the recount mechanics and the motivation in a moment. First, a quick math update. The election was nearly 3 weeks ago. You see the results here. Donald Trump is our president-elect, but Hillary Clinton is on top when you look at the map because she has almost a 2 million vote lead, 1.92 million in the popular vote, which begs the question, do you think we should keep the Electoral College, which is why Trump is the president-elect, or pick presidents by a popular vote? Some brand new polling numbers this morning. How should we elect our president? 51% of you tell us you want to switch to the popular vote. 44% say keep the Electoral College, keep it the way it is. Remember that 51%. That is after this election in which the Democrat won the popular vote and the Republican will become president. You see, 51% now. The push for change, not as great as it was after 2000. That, in case you're forgotten, that was the big recount election. Al Gore, George W. Bush, Florida, went all the way to the Supreme Court. Will there be recounts now? We know about Wisconsin. We'll watch Pennsylvania and Michigan. As this plays out, Donald Trump reminding Hillary Clinton that in one of the debates and on the campaign trail, she had a very different take.
Donald Trump said something that no other candidate running on either side has ever said. And that is, he refused to say he would respect the outcome of the election. Now, make no mistake, my friends, this poses a direct threat to our democracy.
That was then. We are in now. To be clear, the Clinton campaign did not initiate these recounts. The Green Party candidate, Jill Stein, did. She raised a lot of money with a lot of help from liberals to do so. And now the Clinton campaign says, well, since Wisconsin's going to count the votes, we will be there. We'll send our lawyers, as guess what, so will the Trump campaign, to keep an eye on things as it goes forward. And again, the deadlines are coming up this week. How real is this, I guess is the question.
Well, it's not real enough to overturn an election.
Right.
I mean, that's almost certainly not going to happen. The Clinton campaign sort of acknowledged that itself in its statement yesterday. But it's so interesting to watch the Clinton campaign dance on this, because in one sense they're saying, oh, well, we don't think this is going to change anything. Oh, but it's happening, so we'll be supportive, or at least we'll be behind the efforts. In a lot of ways, it's a nod to their supporters, a lot of whom are very concerned about the outcome of the election. They suspect there was some sort of Russian hacking, although there's no evidence that happened at the polling station, although, of course, the Russian actors did try to influence the election in other ways. So they want to challenge the legitimacy of it. A lot of Clinton supporters do. So they're making a nod to that, even though it won't change the outcome.
Well, let me just quickly get this in. President-elect Trump, as we noted, is tweeting early this morning. Among the tweets, he says this: Hillary Clinton conceded the election when she called me just prior to the victory speech, and after the results were in, nothing will change. That's what Donald Trump says. And to Manu's point, Mark Elias, the Clinton campaign counsel, in a post on Medium yesterday, said because we had not uncovered any actionable evidence of hacking, they looked into this, the Clinton campaign, or outside attempts to alter the voting technology, we had not planned to exercise this option ourselves. And then he goes on to say, but since it's going to happen, we'll send our lawyers there.
Yeah, and we had heard from donors and other people close to the campaign after the election that they were aware of some irregularities in these states. They didn't think it would be enough to change the outcome of the race. It was also already a week or two after the election, so they weren't going to, the Clinton campaign wasn't going to like pursue this and make a big push on it. You know, the time to do this kind of recount is immediately in the 24, 48, 30, hours after
We're almost
the
3 weeks out
election.
now.
We're almost 3 weeks out. And a lot of Clinton, former Clinton aides and supporters are encouraging people to put their money not towards the recount, interested Democrats, but towards the Louisiana Senate race, which is still, ongoing. But, I think it's important to know if the Russians were interfering with our elections. That seems, the White House says that it probably wasn't hacking machines. It more was fake news and other kinds of, hacking of people's campaign, personal emails, other kinds of interference. But it seems like that would be an important thing for the country to know about.
It certainly was part of the campaign. I mean, the sort of leaked emails and the hacking of Podesta's emails. I think this is certainly a good moment for Jill Stein. I mean, we haven't talked about Jill Stein much at all in this whole.
The Green Party's raising a boatload of money off this. And Trump calls it a scam. Trump called it a scam yesterday,
saying
that that's
all the time. And this certainly elevates her stature in that progressive left. And I do think Manu is right. It's sort of the Clinton team co-signing for this progressive effort. And I have to say, like, on election night, I got so many messages from Democrats basically saying, were they hacked? Right? And so this seems to be scratching an itch among Democrats who had suspicions early on.
Maybe they were Democrats in those states who stayed home. Let's put up the margins just as we go through this. Wisconsin definitely will recount. Michigan and Pennsylvania, the Green Party says it has the money and will try to exercise them this week. But you see the margins there. In Michigan, it's a little over 10,000 votes. In Wisconsin, it's 27,000 plus votes. In Pennsylvania, it's more than 70,000 votes. There has never been a recount that has overturned a margin anywhere near the numbers you're looking at there, particularly that 70,000 in Pennsylvania. And some people snarkily note that in Wisconsin and Michigan, if Jill Stein votes went to Hillary Clinton would have won those two states.
Right.
But
Details.
But we're going to watch this play out in at least one state and maybe three, and it's going to drag on.
For a few days. I mean, what, at least 2 weeks? I mean, look, Democrats talking about putting money into a Senate race. There's been talk about election reform. You don't reform the Electoral College, but maybe you get all the states to say, you know what, if it's within 5 percentage points, we're going to do automatic recounts no matter what. Because I think now in this day and age where there's all these questions about, you know, was there hacking? Did fake news play a role? Did something else nefarious happen? Why not just compel these boards of elections to just show everyone that, in fact, you know, everything was copacetic and it was fine. This is essentially the autopsy 3 weeks after the death, and we'll see what happens. And, you know, in essence, they may be doing Trump a favor because you'll put this to rest now before the new year. He can move on, and he'll be able to say, look, you may be disappointed, but I won.
But the one thing that